Good evening. I'll be your host this evening. I am Wilne van der Rooyen. Just a friendly reminder that the WhatsApp line will be open for questions that you might have. So I would first like to start off, welcome for joining us this evening. I would like to start off, who you are, what you do at the university, a little bit about yourself.
Hi there, yes. My name is Dr. Andrea Polk. I am a lecturer in the philosophy department, and one of the subjects that I teach is moral philosophy.
Yeah.
So if any of our viewers are planning on taking philosophy next year, I will be meeting them in the 4th term. I'm also part of the teaching team that teaches ethics to medical students at the Tygerberg campus, and I teach a compulsory ethics course to engineering students.
Oh, okay. So how would you advise students on adapting to the transition from high school to university?
Yeah, so obviously it's been a long time since I myself was in high school, but I think the challenges of making this transition remain the same. So I would say it's all about cultivating the art of balance. So there's a lot more freedom in university than in school, but with this freedom comes the need to take much more individual responsibility for oneself and one's studies than you might have been used to in school. And part of what is really wonderful about university, I think, is that you get to embark on so many new things at the same time. So making a new circle of friends, being away from home for the first time, embarking on a path of learning in which you get to choose subjects that you are really interested in, maybe for the first time. But with all of this newness comes a lot of challenges. So you shouldn't underestimate how challenging it might be, particularly being away from home. That's one that students struggle with, or being in a residence for the first time. And it's also very easy to get swept away at the beginning and to fall behind with your work. So especially when you're in big classes, you're one of many, no one's going to notice necessarily if you're not attending lectures. So I would say establish a way of maintaining this balance from the beginning. You're there to have fun, but also keep up with your studies, and that will stand you in good stead.
So what do you recommend students do to improve their chances of academic success?
Yeah, so I would say first and foremost, choose subjects that you're interested in. So it's really hard to do well in a subject that doesn't interest you, that you don't care about. So practical advice, I would say, create structure, a consistent routine from the beginning, set good study habits, try to be as organized as possible. Don't fall into the trap, like many students do, of leaving everything to the last minute. It's a temptation, but it never ends well, and it causes unnecessary stress. In terms of study habits or modes of studying, so by now most students probably know what works for them, but you might need to change how you study. So what worked for you in high school might not work for you at university level. And I would say, this is your chance to try out different ways of studying. Also remember, in terms of academic success, so you are at university for the end point. You're there to get your certificate and to do as well as you can. But success is not only measured in those terms. Don't get me wrong, that stuff is important and it feels wonderful. But I would just say a successful academic experience is also about the kind of person that you'll become. So emerging as a well-informed member of society who can make a positive contribution to society. I would say, the process of becoming that person matters as much as that end point, which is the certificate that you will receive.
Yeah. And first years will obviously be sharing class with about 300 other students. What advice do you have for students who may be uncomfortable with asking a question in such a big class?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I can personally relate to this question because I was one of those students who lacked the confidence to put my hand up in class. Why? Because I was worried about saying something stupid. So I would say if your question or your comment comes from a place of genuine curiosity and interest in the subject, it's never going to be stupid. University is your chance to test your views, to develop your insights in an environment in which curiosity is prized. So it's a non-judgmental environment. So also please know, and this may help, that your lecturers actually want you to engage. We want your questions because often we assess the success of our classes in terms of how much engagement we received. But of course, if you really struggle speaking in front of big groups, you can always approach the lecturer afterwards. A lot of my students do that. We have office hours. You can pop by, email us. There's many different options.
And for what can first years expect, in terms of assessments and assignments? They will definitely be a lot different to what they're used to.
Yeah, so this is a question that always interests the first year students. It's going to depend on your subject.
Yeah.
But just to give some examples, you might have weekly online quizzes, open book quizzes, multiple choice quizzes to test your understanding throughout the course. You might have short essays, longer essays, group work, written tests and exams. And of course, you're going to need to study for those in the same way that you studied in high school. But then we've also got a lot of practical assessments in our faculty, and those will be assessed in a particular way. So in terms of written stuff, what we're interested in is how well do you understand the content? How can you engage with the content and explain it in a way that indicates understanding? So we're not interested in memorizing, we're interested in your actual understanding. Or in other subjects, your proficiency if it's a language, or your artistry or creative expression.
So in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, students can choose to do modules within 3 different fields, namely languages, arts or social sciences. How should they approach the assignments in these various fields or departments?
Okay, and that's quite a tricky question. It's a big question, sort of related to the previous one. So these 3 streams or fields approach their subject matter in quite different ways. They've got quite different methodologies. But there's also big differences not only between the 3 streams or fields, but also between the subjects within these areas. So firstly, just rest assured, your lecturers will give you ample guidance in terms of what is expected of you, how to approach assessments and so on. We know that first year is overwhelming. We know that first years need extra guidance. So we give a lot of information at the beginning of the term and throughout the term. There's a lot of help available. What might be helpful with these 3 streams, though, is to consider what the sort of ultimate aim is of each of them. So there's the most overlap between your arts subjects and your languages, I would say. And anyone who's been through the schooling system is going to have taken a language. You're going to have an idea of what to expect. If you're taking an arts subject at university, you've probably studied one before. So here we are interested in proficiency, technical abilities, but also creative expression. But I would say the social sciences are going to be the area that will be most new to students, because most schools don't have subjects that relate to these subjects that they'll do at university. And the social sciences are interested in observing, describing, studying and understanding different aspects of reality. So whether that's society, social institutions, cultures, human psychology, history, the natural environment, political structures, or my own discipline that studies in part the human condition in general. So that might be helpful to bear that in mind, but as I mentioned, expectations and information will be communicated in a lot of depth and detail.
And for students, if they need additional support, what can they do if they need additional support? And can you also tell us more about, tutorials?
Yeah, so the university places an emphasis and really takes it seriously, providing support for students who need it. And I think that's going to be addressed later in the program. So whether that is support for students with disabilities, students experiencing mental health challenges, or students who need extra academic support. And all of that information will be communicated. In terms of tutorials, we call them TUTs for short. So they are small group discussions led by more senior students. What's nice about the TUTs is it's a much more personal environment. So for those who are nervous of speaking in class, you can gain confidence here. It's also, the TUTs are aspirational because you get to see maybe where you might be in a few years' time, because the students leading the TUTs are only a few years older than the age that most students will be. So the different subjects use their TUTs for different purposes, but mainly it's about extra help with the content, discussion, engagement, and so on in a more personal environment.
Yeah. And we have students who speak different languages. What is the language instruction at the university, and in which languages can students do their exams or assessments?
Yeah, so obviously this is a very important question.
Yeah.
People want to know about this. So just to say, the university is committed to supporting and developing multilingualism. There's a particular emphasis on the languages spoken in the Western Cape, English, Afrikaans, and isiXhosa. Now, there are many different options available to lecturers. And we are going to make an infographic available in both English and Afrikaans in the Telegram groups later on. It's excellent. But the options depend on class size, the subject, of course, because if you're studying a language, it's going to be predominantly in that language. But I would say that, of course, students can ask questions in class in English or Afrikaans. They can write their assessments in English or Afrikaans. Obviously, to give you an example, I'm an English speaker, so I do my lectures in English, but I have real-time interpretation available. So you sit in the class, you have the headset in, and you have Afrikaans translation at the same time. So many different options, and we'll make that information available.
So do you have any additional advice for our incoming first years?
Yeah, I would say, just go for it. This is your chance to become a well-informed member of society and the world, to make a meaningful and positive contribution to society. It's also your chance to meet people from very different backgrounds to your own, to develop your worldview, to compare it and assess it in terms of other people's worldviews. It's your chance to find out what you're really passionate about in an environment which is particularly suited towards this. So I would say just make the most of it, grab all the opportunities you can get, have fun. It's an important part of the university experience, but keep up with those studies from the beginning.
I just want to say thank you so much for your time, and also we're going to have a little look at a video right now.
This is Maties101, the home of Stellenbosch University. Here, you will receive a world-class education and have the time of your life. There is space for 7,500 students in a myriad of different residence options on the main campus, while a further 1,000 students are housed in 5 residences on Tygerberg campus. Our students are those who are curious to know, those who want to change the world and their own lives for the better. The diverse student community is a vibrant testimony to a future-driven campus which caters for the needs of all students. The Nielsen Student Centre is a popular get-together spot right at the heart of campus. At Stellenbosch University, you are connected to the world through excellent technology. Across campus, there are 6 faculty-specific computer user areas to complement our state-of-the-art institution. Each faculty offers their students access to a variety of disciplines and the opportunity to be exposed to the finer things in life. Our beautiful campus has paved walkways winding between campus buildings dating from different eras. Here you have free access to the one-of-a-kind beauty of Stellenbosch town and its breathtaking natural surroundings. The superb sport facilities nurture some of the country's best athletes and afford every other active student the chance to keep fit and healthy. Make Stellenbosch University part of your journey today. For in love with life. Fall in love with Maties101.
And we're back. If you just tuned in, I am Volney and I am your host for this evening. And I would love to say welcome to these lovely ladies over here. Welcome. So first of all, I would love for you to introduce yourself and what you do at the university. We can start with you.
Okay, so hi, I'm Dozo Kumalo and I do quite a lot of stuff for the university. But firstly, I am a student, but I am currently a House Com member. I'm a VP that side, and I used to be a Student Com member as well, and an HA and a mentor and.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, okay, and yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Asanda Mkize and I'm currently a student. Like Douglas, I did a lot for the university. I was part of the faculty student committee, and yeah, I'm a student at the university.
Oh wow, both of you doing all the things.
Trying.
So how would you advise students, you know, as a student yourself, how would you advise the upcoming students on adapting to the transition from high school to university?
Would you like to go?
Okay. Well, obviously the transition from high school to university is quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Firstly, there's more people in university than there is in high school. So I would definitely say that take it one step at a time. It's overwhelming socially as well as academically. So take it one step at a time. Don't rush yourself to get into everything at the same time. Pace yourself and then just work through it slowly but surely.
I would say utilize the welcoming that we have in the university, as speaking from being a House Com member, is that we have these programs that have been set to basically help you integrate as much as possible into the university life. So you do have your mentors that we give to you, and they help you in the basis of you at home and you might be by yourself, and your mentor is going to be checking up on you, helping you with like the social aspects of life as well. And also having Student Com members as well. We are there to also help you integrate within the academia world as well.
Yeah.
So the university does try to offer you a holistic way of integration within the institution. So basically try to utilize that as much as possible. You get your welcoming booklets from your different communities. It's either you're a CSO student or you're a RES student. Utilize that, look at that, and just make it your best friend, and you'd find that really helpful to just integrate into the life of university.
Yeah. And obviously the students are coming here to, you know, pursue academics and all of that. From you two, what would you recommend students do to improve, you know, their chances of academic success?
I would definitely say make use of the support that this university provides for you. There's so much support academically that you can look into that helps you to just make sure that you are well set. There's also extra classes, well, not extra classes, but tutorials in your faculty that they have. So make sure you go to those. Make sure you reach out to your mentors, your academic mentors as well. It will really be helpful for you to ensure that you are doing well academically.
Yeah.
And make sure that you ask questions, your lecturers, ask the students around you, ask students that have been in that class prior or have done that module, ask around and you will be set.
Yeah.
And also utilize, we create like WhatsApp groups for different modules. Find a friend, the person who talks a lot on the group, just approach them. They probably know something or one or two things. So approach people, and also like in your different races as well, approach people. You'll find that there are seniors, as Asanda had said, that have done the module before, and they might have notes that that might be useful. So just also don't have like the inferiority complex as well, like you're feeling that you are not worth being in this space. Just have that confidence in yourself that you have made it this far into university, and you can actually make it through any module that you're in as well. So just basically ask around, as also Asanda said, that could help you.
Yeah. So you know, classes there are a lot of people there, about 300 students. It's very overwhelming, specifically like your first class. And obviously you, like you said, do ask questions. But for those who might feel uncomfortable, do you have any advice for them of, you know, just breaking that barrier of, okay, cool, let me ask this question that I want to know?
I would definitely say discussion forums on
Yeah.
your Sunlearn. Those are very helpful. You can just type in the question and everyone can see that question. It can also be anonymous, but then the lecturer has access to that. They will see your question. Other students can also, chip in and answer your question. But don't be afraid. Go to the lecture after class. Like Doza said, inferiority. It won't work well for you. So try by all means to reach out. Send the lecturer an email. They do have operating hours, office hours, outside of lecture times that you can go speak one-on-one with your lecturer. Ask your tutor. There are tutors for many modules in our faculty. So reach out to them, and I think that'll be very helpful for you. Yeah.
I also talk a lot, right, in general, but like in classes, I like to just go to the lecturer themselves after class and just ask the question. Sometimes I even walk with the lecturer if they're going to a different venue. Like, let's take a quick walk. Let's take a quick walk. Let's talk about this. So I do I go to the lecturer and also asking your class rep maybe, because we do have different class reps in our different modules. So then you can just go to your class rep and be like, okay, can you ask this question in specific? I'm also shy and like emailing the lecturer as well. So the class rep can do that for you and just pop back with the answer for you.
Yeah. So both of you have obviously experienced assessments and assignments. So for what can the first years expect in terms of assessments and assignments, from a student perspective?
It's going to come at you, it's going to be in your face. It's all going to come at you at one time. Like when you read through your module outlines, it's there. This is what you have to do. These are your submission dates. And you will be most of the time be chasing submission dates every week, every other week. That's your life now. But all I can say is break it down into smaller pieces, into smaller parts, have a timetable, schedule your time, and just practice good time management skills so that you know that, okay, in this hour, in this day, I'm doing this and this is due. For example, with me, I have a huge wall in my restroom in bright colors that this is due for tomorrow, this is due for next week. So plan accordingly. That will very much help you in order to make sure that you meet your deadlines and you don't get overwhelmed, because if you leave it till last minute and then you have them close to each other, it's not good. You will get frustrated.
Yeah. And also, it's very cliche, but your marks are not you. Because I feel like in this university, overachievers have been accepted, right? So you used to getting like 90%, 80% and whatever. I got my first essay mark for pol sci and it was like 30-something%. I was like, okay, this is great. Welcome to university, and I had a very difficult time to actually reconcile with that mark and having to realize that it's not me. I mean, I'm in my final year right now. I'm like from 30% to being my final year. Really, you can make it. Just consult the fact that your marks are not going to be the same as they were in high school, which is perfectly fine. You just need to find your own mojo. You just need to also find how you need to work as well. And also understand maybe like the lingo that you need to use, because it's so different from high school. Writing an essay in university is completely polar different. So like, just get used to it. Just get used to what referencing, especially in BA, reference. Please utilize the referencing that they told you. If it's Harvard Stellenbosch, use Harvard Stellenbosch. Just be specific in the things, whatever your lecturer says you must do in your assignments, please do them. Don't think you know more, because you are going to get the 30% that I did.
So obviously with the different subjects or modules that you'll be taking, some of them might be different from each other's. There are different various fields or departments. How should they approach these specific assignments in these different fields?
Right, that's a good question. I do language and I also do the social sciences part. So what I do is, okay, I'm telling myself that it's different. I try by all means not to mix up, because like Doza said, if it's Harvard referencing for this module, it might be different from the other module. They might use MLA, for example. So I try by all means, when I'm sitting down and I'm working on a specific module at that time, I block everything out. I act as if that's the only module I got during that time, so that I know, okay, this is what's happening. And also be friends with your course outline. It will tell you everything you need to know, from referencing, assessments, and like how to just navigate your way through the whole module in its entirety. So
Yeah, and also don't treat your studying method for the different modules the same, because they're also different. Like, for example, with my psych, I do not study the same way as I do for pol sci. So like I try to differentiate it. For psych, I might do like mind maps to just remember the amount of work that I need to do, like, because it's really heavy in everything. It's heavy in content. But then I just try to do mind maps for psych, and then I converse a lot in political science. I try to like keep up with the current affairs, try to take the things that I learn within political science and into my academic. Then I can understand more of it. So like my study method is way different from the two modules that I have. So like don't treat your modules that you have in the same way. Also assessment wise, we do have different styles of writing as well within our different modules. Like for philosophy, your essays are in like first person as well. It's kind of weird still, but like in pol sci, then you have to write, you know, in third person. It's like has to be impersonal and stuff. So like you need to differentiate your different modules, treat them differently as if they just operating in their own sections to just basically understand things. Sometimes the content does overlap depending on what you do, but you just need to remember that you treat it differently and according to and the method and style that your lecturers prefer for that specific module.
So obviously with all of this, sometimes you might need additional support. What can students do if they specifically need additional support? And also, you know, tell us a little bit more about tutorials.
All right. Tutorials are classes in a smaller scale. So if, for example, you have a class of 300 students, for example, political science or psychology, a tutorial, it divides that classroom. So you'll be in a TUTS class with 25 people, 25 students, and you'd have a tutor assigned to you for the whole semester or whole term. So, because they're the ones marking your assessment as well. So tutorials are quite important. It's important that you attend, and for some modules it's once every 2 weeks, or there's like 2 per term, and they're very important in terms of assessments and information on how things are assessed, as well as essay writing. They help you with tips and you know, strategies on how to go about writing your assessment. So tutorials are very, very helpful, and I would say it's quite important to attend them. And also there's TUT work to help you prepare for like major assignments that are to come. So that's basically what I can say about tutorials. And yes, make sure you attend them, and they're quite helpful. Yeah.
And let me tell you something, like in my first year, I thought that TUTs are not as important, because we sat there and they were telling us about how to write an essay. I'm like, duh, I know how to write an essay. What do you mean? But please do attend it, because they're very important. I saw that later in my years of studying, that their teachings of how to write an essay was really important, because I'm writing essays like every second day. So like those things are like also the basics of basics. They teach you how to basically also function within your different modules in regards to assessments. So they do teach you the smaller scaled version of your classes as well. You can also ask more information and clarity maybe in whatever you didn't understand maybe in class, in your lecture, and your tutor is basically going to break it down for you. So they are very important, and some modules do have it as a compulsory. So sometimes if you don't attend your TUTs, you're not going to write your exam. So read your module outline. If they say you're not going to write your exam because you didn't attend TUTs, attend it just for your own good and your parents' wallets as well.
So different languages. Everybody speaks different languages here on campus. Well, it's South Africa. What is the language of instruction at the university, and also in which languages can students do their exams or assessments?
Right. I'm a Xhosa student, so the language of instruction in the university is mostly English and Afrikaans. So in lectures, you will have, and in some lectures there is an option for interpretation in Xhosa, but not all of them. But the ones I've been in, they are. So in class, you get in, you will go to class, the lecturer will teach in English, and then they'll put up a little code or a link on the screen where students who need interpretation services will click on that, and they'll have their headsets on during the lesson. They won't be missing out on anything, so it's real-time interpretation. And yes, but you find that around the university now, outside of lectures, it's mostly Afrikaans, because, you know, we are in such an environment. So, but then there is interpretations or translations. So everything most of the time is in 3. It's English, Afrikaans, and Xhosa. I think it's also in my hoodie. I'm like, yes. So it's in English, Xhosa, and Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of things. Yeah.
Yeah, basically that English Afrikaans in classes, and then going out of classes, it could be English Afrikaans and Xhosa. So it's just depending also on what information you're receiving, because if it's like official information from the university themselves and not your faculty or your lecturer, it could be in all 3 languages.
Yeah.
But then if it's like assessments and you're in class, most of the time it's just English and Afrikaans that you receive information in.
Okay. And lastly, do you have any additional advice for our incoming first years?
Yes, definitely. My advice would be, if you're first year, don't be afraid to ask questions. I always say that there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't know, ask. It will help you, and familiarize yourself with the environments that you're in. And also, welcoming is important. You must attend. You get a chance to meet new friends. You get a chance to make new friendships and new bonds, and you just you explore the university within those 2 weeks, so it does get quite a lot. But attend, participate, be open-minded about everything, and lastly, just go for it. Don't be shy. Don't be, it's a new experience. Just be open-minded, and you will do well. It's not too difficult. Yeah,
It's not too
it's
difficult.
not too difficult.
Side eye. I would say also don't just focus on just academics, because I feel like the whole entire town itself can allow you to grow as a person, holistically speaking. You don't want to go out of university and say, what did I do except from my academics, and you feel like in other aspects you haven't grown. So like utilize the different things that the university has to help you grow. There are many developmental things that the university offers. So like just get to know more of those things and just grow as a person. Don't be afraid to attend things in your first year, Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because you can. And in that you find that you just find more joy in it, and you just find that you put yourself out there. If you're like from a small town, you find yourself putting yourself out there more, and you find yourself just being able to do things that you never imagined of yourself to do. I know people that were like introverts in high school, they say, and then now they're just extroverted, and they're out there, they're just doing the most. So like, do that. Don't just box yourself up to just academics. There's so much that this university offers beyond academics, and I feel like in you being part of it, you can be part of this beautiful thing, this holistic growth that the university offers.
I want to say thank you so much for your time this evening. I hope you have a fantastic evening, the rest of it, and we will be watching a short little video now as well.
Hello, prospective Maties. My name is Erin Powers, and I'm a BA PPE student at Stellenbosch University. The PPE, or Politics, Philosophy and Economics, originated at Oxford University and has been the degree of choice for world leaders, activists and CEOs alike. It's structured like a normal 3-year degree, but you'll graduate with 3 majors. In your first year, you'll have 2 electives, which can be either from the Arts and Social Sciences faculty or the EMS faculty. So whatever your interests are, there'll be something for you. Whether that's the structures of governance in politics, or the money behind it in economics, or thinking about your thinking and articulating arguments in philosophy. It is an incredible intersectional degree that will give you unparalleled insight into the world around you. Good luck with your applications, and I look forward to welcoming you to Stellenbosch University.
Who we become depends on the choices we make. And what we choose is influenced by what we think, what we learn, what we dream. Who we become is shaped by what we stand for. Because when we uphold others' dignity, appreciate diversity and work for equality, we are our best selves. Who we become is inspired by the people around us. Our mentors, our teachers, our family, our colleagues, our friends. Who we become and what we achieve is the sum of all the opportunities we embrace, all the roads we travel. Discover Stellenbosch University, where who you become will transcend even your own expectations. Where we stand together, where we move forward, together.
And we're back. Welcome back. I am Vilnay. Just a friendly reminder once again that the WhatsApp line is open if you have any questions. And I'm joined by a new guest. Welcome this evening. So I first of all want to start off, for you to introduce yourself and what you do at the university.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Cheryl Richardson. I'm the faculty administrator for the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. And I'm responsible for student administration, registrations, admissions, etc.
Yeah. How would you advise students on adapting to the transition of coming from high school, moving over to university?
Well, it's very difficult. Everybody is their own person. Yeah. You have the more introverted students and the more extroverted students. I think it's just to be open. Be open to change, be open to new ways of doing things, because you can't do things the same way you did it at high school.
Yeah.
And to ask questions. If you don't know, come into Admin A, we're always there. We have an open door policy. Come and ask a question. We'll help you wherever we can.
Yeah. And how would you advise students, or basically what would you recommend to students to improve their chances of academic success?
Well, to utilize the support structures we have on campus, like the Center for Student Counseling and Development. They offer fantastic workshops to students free of charge on effective note-taking in class and effective study methods, all those things that can really help you. Even if you're not a student that normally struggles academically, I think it's very important for you to adapt, because the same study methods maybe that you're using at school will not necessarily work at university.
Yeah.
So it's good to just diversify your portfolio a little bit.
So you also mentioned, the whole thing of asking questions, but as we know, walking into a classroom with 300 students or even more or less, what advice do you have for those students who might be uncomfortable or afraid to actually ask questions in class?
I normally advise students to, if possible, if you don't have a next class, just stay behind 2 minutes, go to the lecturer in person, ask your question right after class, or send them an email. Make use of the Sunlearn platform to post your email in the discussion groups. Your email or your question will be attended to. You just need to just ask it.
Okay. And what can first years expect in terms of assessments and assignments from your point of view?
New.
Yeah.
It's going to be very new. They're going to be introduced to negative marking in some subjects. I think also just in the way in which questions are asked. It's not always that straightforward. Sometimes you really just need to take a moment, breathe, read carefully, break your question down into sections before answering.
Yeah.
Lots of essay type questions, obviously depending on the subject that you're going to be writing. Some subjects do make use of multiple choice, and with a multiple choice it's either right or wrong. So make sure that you've studied and prepared yourself well beforehand.
Okay. And in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, students can choose to do modules, within like 3 different fields, namely languages, arts, or social sciences. How should they approach the assignments in these various fields or departments?
Well, okay, I'm not really the correct person to answer that question because I work in academic administration. But I think it's to listen to the question, to what the assignment says, and also sometimes to think out of the box.
Yeah.
You don't always have to answer a question in a linear way.
Yeah.
You can sometimes be a little bit more creative in how you answer the questions. But then also, make sure you understand it correctly. Go to your lecturer, send them an email, say, listen, this is how I'm interpreting the question. This is my approach that I think I want to take. Not that they're going to give you a whole bunch of feedback, but they can tell you you are on the right track, or listen, come and see me, you've got it wrong a little bit.
Yeah. And you know, if students need a little bit of additional support, what can they do to get this additional support?
I think academically is to speak up in tutorial classes.
Yeah.
Make your problem known. Your lecturer doesn't know that you have a problem if you don't state your problem. If you don't speak to, in the tutorial class, in the seminar classes, if you don't raise your hand, if you don't raise your question, no one's going to know that you have a problem, that you're not understanding a concept correctly.
And like I've mentioned this question before, and I've said it before, you know, the campus has a lot of different people who speak a lot of different languages. So what is the language of instruction at the university, and you know, what languages can students do their assignments and assessments in?
Well, assignments and assessments can be done in either English or Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Obviously in a module like Basic Xhosa, then a student can or should answer in Xhosa. Or if it's in French or German, Chinese, they have to answer in that specific language.
Yeah.
But in most cases, English or Afrikaans. As far as possible, I think lecturers are mostly in English.
Yeah.
And they vary between using English and Afrikaans.
Okay.
And some classes do have the service where you can dial in to listen to the Xhosa translation of.
Okay, thank you. So do you have any additional advice for our incoming first years?
Take it day by day. We're not expecting you to be a final year. We're not expecting you to know everything. Soak it in. Enjoy yourself, and be true to yourself. If you're not liking a subject, if you're not liking a direction, come and speak to us, Skakel Centre for Counselling and Development, and they are there to help you and to guide you make the right decisions, and we'll see how far we can help you.
Okay, thank you so much for your time this evening, and with this, good night.